straight from the heart of East Tennessee. This is 10 News at 5.
The nation's top wireless carriers are slowing down the speeds on some of their biggest data customers and consumers. Today, we're taking a closer look. Welcome back to 10 News at 5. I'm Beth Haynes. Most people love having the internet on their smartphones. It brings everything from games and movies to Twitter and Facebook straight to the palm of your hand. But along with the progress, of course, comes the payment. Nearly all of the nation's top wireless carriers require data plans for smartphone users. And while they may advertise lightning fast download and upload speeds, if you use too much, you may see a slowdown. For instance, AT&T employs a tactic known as throttling to manage the data speed on users' phones. It's designed to help the company control overall data usage on its network. Right now, it's only being used for the top 5% of the data users or customers who use the most data, and it's only used for people on unlimited data plans, which the company began phasing out in 2010. AT&T warns customers with a text message before they are throttled and capped. The cap speeds last for the duration of that billing cycle. The company recommends switching to a Wi-Fi signal to avoid feeling the slowed speeds. It's a similar story over at Verizon, but with a few differences. Here it's known as optimization. The company slows down the top 5% of its users once they top a 2 gigabyte threshold in 1 month. Here, though, the slowdown doesn't last an entire billing cycle, and it only slows down users in the most congested cell tower sites. Optimization only targets those on unlimited plans and doesn't affect customers who are already on the company's new 4G LTE network, at least not yet. And for other carriers, T-Mobile begins capping data speeds when customers top a 5 gigabyte threshold in a given month. U.S. Cellular does not throttle or slow speeds, but has a 5 gigabyte data limit per month that, once crossed, charges customers 25 cents for each additional megabyte, up to $200. Right now, Sprint is the only major carrier offering unlimited data packages with no throttling. For more on the concept of limiting data speeds, we are joined by our tech expert, Dan Thompson from Claris Networks. Always good to talk to you. You're always keeping us up to date. First, give us some background on why this happens and why carriers are limiting the data.
Yeah, so this can be traced back to the iPhone at its roots. AT&T launches the iPhone several years ago. The users just run out and buy this thing in droves. AT&T was not prepared for the amount of data that the iPhone was going to take up. And so you see them scrambling. If you look at Verizon's launch of the iPhone, they were very slow to let it out because they wanted to make sure their network was solid. So the same thing didn't happen again, but that's where all this comes from.
But still, these many of the carriers promote, advertise unlimited data plans. Is that fair given these limits that do exist?
Right. I don't personally think so. I think if it's unlimited, it should truly be unlimited. I think if you talk to AT&T or Verizon, they would say, well, hey, look at the contract. We tell you we're going to do that. So, you know, I guess it kind of depends on which side of the fence you're on there. I personally think it's not fair because if you say unlimited, it should be unlimited.
You were talking about one of the carriers not being prepared for that usage. A lot of Verizon and AT&T have pretty much phased out the unlimited data plans. Let's talk about why that is necessary and why it's so important for these carriers to do this in attempts to control the usage of their networks.
Yeah, sure. So if you don't let people have unlimited data, if you start charging them for their overages and then giving them plans, essentially what you're doing is you're creating restrictions. So you're trying to police your own network, so to speak, so that people aren't running away with your data. What all these companies have said is there's 5% of the users are kind of ruining it for everybody else. And so they put these caps in place so that the average user, they say, will have a better user experience so that these other people who are either, you know, watching a lot of videos or whatever aren't hogging all that bandwidth. So that's really where this is coming from and why they want to do it. You know, some conspiracy theorists say, well, it's just a money thing. But I think if you look at the congested networks and the history here, they definitely have something to stand on saying, hey, we're just doing this to protect ourselves.
Well, this has been said that the measure affects only those data-hungry users or people that use an extreme amount of their data plan each month. Is that true? And we were talking earlier, a lot of it depends where you live.
Yeah, it seems totally random. So if you look at how AT&T is doing mayors, they're just hitting the people who are in the super congested areas. So an area like Knoxville or kind of rural Tennessee, you may not see caps at all if, no matter what your usage is. But like if you live in a bigger city like New York or Dallas or something like that, you may get batted down more quickly. As we were also talking about off the air, and you mentioned actually in your lead-in, AT&T actually will cap you for the remainder of that billing cycle, whereas Verizon, they just kind of push you down for a little bit until the congestion clears and then let you have at it again. I like Verizon's model much better, obviously, because it gives you that free reign unlimited thing once the congestion's gone.
With more and more people buying smartphones, is data usage going to be more of an issue as we continue on?
Absolutely. I mean, because if you figure, if the iPhone was able to bring down AT&T's network, that's really before we had Androids, and now you got Android and iPhone and BlackBerry trying to re-enter the market. I mean, and the Windows phones. I mean, it's just going to get crazier and crazier from here.
All right, Dan, always good to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for being here. And stay with us. We're coming right back after this break.